Please increase the volume, please. Radio listeners, for those who joining us from the community radio stations across Monrovia and the environs, I'd like to invite you to the CHAS Beyond Press Hall to our regular press briefing. Liberia Deputy Information Minister on our Daniel Sando will set the basis, after which he will invite on the national podium our guests, including the Chief Administrator, the official spokesperson of the government, Honorable Olympic Matthew Fia, Mr. Sando.
Good afternoon to you members of the Fourth Estate. Good afternoon to our distinguished platform guests. We are very, very excited to be back here in the historic Charles William Conference Room here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. As was announced by our minister on this one Tuesday, we are anticipating the arrival of the Inter-Ministerial Concessions Planning, and that committee comprises of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the National Investment Commission, Ministry of Transport in this case. They are supposed to be here to throw light, provide you more details on the instrument that was signed between the Liberian government and Avico Liberia Limited. While we are anticipating the arrival, we have here a face that needs no introduction to the Ministry of Information, the President's political advisor, Madam Mandela Kopo, and of course, she's accompanied by Ambassador Anderson. They're here to speak and provide updates on the upcoming 2025 Liberia Investment Conference, which is scheduled to be held between the 15th and 18th of July at the EJS Ministerial Complex. And I have to say that this conference is being held in partnership with the National Investment Commission. You may recall that last year, similar conference was held. And I'm sure while Mr. Anderson is speaking here, he will also provide you updates on the outcome of the last year conference and what this year conference also holds for our dear country. Don't forget, there's ongoing efforts by the leadership of the country to make sure that every environment is provided for those who want to do business with Liberia can come here. And against that backdrop, I show this a time where every Liberian is proud for being a Liberian. Your country is being projected in a very positive dimension. The leader of the country, His Excellency President Waka, is currently in the United States, and Minister PI is going to talk very extensively on the engagement of our president at the U.S.-Africa Summit. He's going to be talking on a wide range of issues. Now, when he speaks, and then maybe he will ask me to conclude on other matters. So that's the routine for today. We are expecting the Inter-Ministerial Committee, and we have the Liberia Investment Conference, political advisor Mandela Kopo and Ambassador Anderson. So with that being said, we'd like to now lay the ground rules for the conference by reminding you to always place your gadget on silent. To avoid distraction, we also want to joyously welcome our compatriots who are following via the radio and through the social media feeds that are going live here. It's a good thing to always follow the MICAT press briefing because this is a premier platform where government information can be disseminated in a real-time basis. I'd like to thank all of you for continuously paying attention to the press briefing. The 10-hour we receive here on a bi-weekly basis is very impressive for the work we do. We would also like to commend other community radio stations that are voluntarily relaying the press briefing in various counties across the country. BJ Radio, the Voice of Gompa, these radio stations, and among many others are relaying this press briefing to schools of Liberians across the country on a pro bono basis. This is why we continue to say that the media has a very critical role to play in the forward march of our country, and we continue to appreciate those who are doing so voluntarily. With that being said, I will now want to pause and welcome our Minister, Honorable Jeremy Matthew Pia, to the podium.
Good afternoon to all of you. As we announced on Tuesday, today is supposed to be dedicated to the Inter-Ministerial Concessions Planning. And the reason is we assigned an instrument with Arvao, a subsidiary of HPX, that is supposed to be transmitted to the national legislature for deliberations and subsequent ratification. And we know there were issues in the media about the signing. We were able to talk about the procedure, since there were people, including lawmakers, who were complaining that they were bypassed. So we needed the public to know what exactly the steps are. And the committee now is supposed to come today to look into what was signed and tell you this is why it is. Unfortunately, we have a government that has 3 separate but coordinated branches of government, and one of them got oversight on institutions in the executive. So members of the committee who should have been here were invited to the legislature at Capitol Hill for a hearing on Ashwabita. And this is the reason why you don't see them here. But we're making an adjustment. We hope they will not call them for something else on Tuesday. And if they don't, then we'll have them here. If they still see the need to call them for something else, we'll always respect the fact that it is their work, and we'll always cooperate with them on things they want to do, especially for the government of the executive. So let's hope that on Tuesday, they will be free and they will be here. However, we're glad to have the Nova folks here, and the investment summit that we're about to have is being spearheaded by the Office of the Vice President. It is important to note that. So it's not just something being done by NOVA as an independent entity or a private sector entity. They are doing so in collaboration with the government, and the government is being represented in that exercise at the Office of the Vice President. So Mr. David Anderson, who is CEO, I guess, of NOVA, is here, and he will talk to you about that investment summit. The political advisor has been working with them when they had the first forum. She worked with them, and she's still working with them. So I'm sure she's here to not just escort Mr. Anderson, but to compliment him as far as the discussion that will be held here are concerned. There will be other talking points that Minister Sano will talk about. But I just wanted to talk about the President's mission in the United States. Yesterday, many of you had the opportunity to, through different outlets, follow the engagement of the African leaders with President Donald John Trump. We said to you at our last press briefing that for us as a government, we believe it was critically important that President Waka was chosen as one of 5 leaders from our continent that is vast and huge, with some countries that are considered very powerful in terms of the size of their economy, their population, and everything about them. We thought that our country, as small as it is, just a little over 5 million people, not too huge in terms of territorial coverage like others, but we were chosen to be part of the group of leaders who are to be President Trump. I'm pleased to say that our engagement in the United States is beyond what you've seen from the meeting that was held yesterday. The engagements are deep. They have extended to the State Department. Today they'll be extending to the IMF, to the World Bank. They extended to the MCC. Remember that we met the eligibility for Compact 2. We had Compact 1 before. And just about the time that took place, the new administration had an approach of putting a pause on most of the engagements that the U.S. has with the rest of the world. So we thought that it was important to catalog all these issues into one basket on this mission to reach out. And that has been going very well. The delegation in America has been simultaneously engaging on all fronts of American institutions and our multilateral organizations located in the U.S. So Ms. Afwan led some members of the team and they met with the MCC after the President's engagement with Trump. That engagement was very rewarding and fruitful, and it gives us new hope. Because the impression out here is that everything has been cancelled, including the compact that we achieved for the MCC. As a result of the engagement with the MCC team by the Minister of Finance, we've been now told that the MCC compact that we won along with other countries is not cancelled. We've been informed that what is being done is that it is being reviewed, consistent with what the President's policy position was in terms of international engagement, in terms of support. So we have an assurance that it is not cancelled. It has been reviewed, and the country will be eventually informed as to what the outcome of the review process is and what exactly the next step will be. In fact, when I was being briefed by the Minister of Finance on this issue, he was very confident that we're on the right path. And he was able to make effectively the case as to how the country arrived at meeting compact. There are sacrifices that are made, there are time put in, deep work done to meet the threshold that will qualify you. And based on how he effectively articulated the country's interest in MCC, he's very hopeful that we're still on course. It may be delayed, but he's convinced that it is not denied. And after that review process, whatever the new structural arrangements will be, whether there will be adjustment in the institutional structure or whatever they are, the country will still somehow get the benefit that we are supposed to from the MCC. There was an opportunity also during the engagement at the State Department to make the case, even though the Americans now are focused on trade and economic diplomacy, there was an opportunity to make the case for what USAID's engagement in Africa represents. But it was zoomed in on Liberia, what it means to have USAID operating here. And those engagements were also good. Yes, economic and trade diplomacy is the way out, but the Americans also note that they are the greatest country on earth. And some way, somehow, they will have to keep engaging other countries of the world and find a way to help those that are not strong enough. And so they're looking at the whole structure. What they are concerned about is the structure that will be used, which is USAID, which they have some issues with. And they are reviewing if there are other structural mechanisms that will be used to continue U.S. engagement. They will make that determination. Our delegation have been able to make the case that whatever USAID was doing, or whatever the American government was doing through USAID, was good for the African continent, is still good for the African continent. It's something that Liberia believes should not be strapped completely. And their assurance is that at the end of the day, when their review processes are finished, whether we have new institutions to do so, or some of the existing institutions to do so, they're looking at all of those options. If we didn't have the chance to be there based on the invitation for President Trump, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do all of that. Of course, we got to be clear to say to you also that immigration was also a major point of discussion in the U.S., particularly after they got through with that general stuff that we all saw on the television screen and went into privately. There's no doubt that immigration is a problem. Our country also contributed. There are a lot of people who travel to the U.S. on tourist visa. They overstay, they were stoned. It's happening to many countries, and Liberia is a part. So we have honest conversation about how to handle that. And you see, when people do so, they affect you, because those who are opportune to have visa, their conduct can come back to haunt people here who will want to go to the US, including many of you sitting here. I know people don't come out to say what it is, but if I ask how many of you here have gone to the embassy, how many times you've been denied visa, I'm sure I will see some hands, but I will say, I've tried 10 times. And on all 10 occasions, I was denied. Sometimes it's not necessarily about you. Yeah, there may be instances where something could be linked to you directly, but we're paying for the sins of others who chose not to behave well. When you come from a country and you get an opportunity to go somewhere and you do the wrong thing, it comes back, they will come back to haunt the rest of the folks in the country. One of the things that was started in 2013, the US-Liberia partnership, died down in the last few years. When the dialogue took place in 2013, 6 months later or so, there was a huge American delegation that came here to foster and strengthen the partnership. But after the transition with a new administration, everything crumbled. The engagement in the US ensured that we made a case for the reintroduction of the partnership, which the Americans are open to. The partnership dialogue will be revived, and the first assembly of the dialogue will take place in the US. And for us, it's good. It's a political dialogue. So once you have the time to keep dialoguing with America, you sit on the same table with them to bring up all of the issues, you can get the best out of the relationship. President Trump generally had a good impression about Liberia and our president. He was particularly impressed to note, I don't know whether that meant he didn't know already, but I'm told he was particularly impressed to note that Liberia is a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. And they say that then there's a need to have stronger and more regular engagement with our country based on our presence there. There will be several follow-up engagements beyond what you saw on the television screen. Some of them are ongoing now, as I said, engagement at the State Department, led by the Foreign Minister, where other issues are being discussed, and then Minister Kafwan and team going to the IMF, going to the MCC, all geared towards strengthening the relationship we have. Today, the President will also meet with different Liberian groups to talk about the country. So far, the engagement in the US is good. The country is positively engaging. We've made a case, and we look forward to what the outcome of the case will be. And I want to state again that President Trump currently has a very positive impression about our country and the man who leads the country. The President will leave the US today, this evening, and he will be back home tomorrow. We will organize you, members of the press, to be at the airport at the time of his arrival, so that you have the chance to also interact with him, asking your questions about the mission in the US. I know one matter to some people were things that, yeah, maybe they are good, but not to occupy our attention and space. Some people are vexed, as usual, even though they are Liberians. And they're looking for all the reasons to vent of how vexed they are. So much so that somebody says, President Trump telling President Walker that he speaks very good English was condescending. Do we debate about those things? It doesn't work it. If somebody have their own definition about what is condescending, and they're looking for all the ways to be negative, and that's what they believe, let them live with it. If that's something that will make them happy, then we stand with them in happy to make them happy by the way they think. Because what is it in such a comment that somebody would think is condescending? I lived in the U.S. for a couple of years. And it is a challenge always when you are amongst Americans. They are thinking that that's not to communicate. They always find a reason to say you have assets. Sometimes pretend that they don't understand you. Sometimes that can hinder your own advancement in that society. Because there are certain kinds of jobs that you can't get if people believe they can understand you well. What if there was somebody else who spoke and the President Trump said, how they understood what the person said? How would you say? I think that's when you're supposed to be concerned about somebody being condescending. But to say what he said, man, the simple thing for us from here is that, man, he understood well what the man said. And all the leaders who were sitting there and were trying to make some remarks, they were doing one thing. The both people call it pitching. Each of them were trying to pitch their country. Those who do public administration, there is a science or a course that is called persuasion. It teaches one of the many things that you will learn from it is how you can make a case for anything, which is called pitching. And because President Walker was clearly understood, he pitched the country well, the country was sold effectively. The American president said, better than some people sitting around the table here. If I was sitting on a table and somebody says to me, Mandela, we just spoke English, so I was sitting down here, and I'm sitting there too, I don't feel that the comment is condescending towards me. But because there are some of us who are so angry and looking for every reason to be negative about our country, the man who is being acknowledged that his English was good and therefore he was understood is the man who people say the president was being condescending towards. You all watch President Trump, all his interaction. You saw him with the South African president. You saw him with Zelensky. You saw him with many persons. The engagement yesterday was relaxed, calm, and happy President Trump, who largely showed respect to the leaders he was dealing with. I'm told behind the scenes, the foreign minister was telling me, he saw our flag. He said, oh, this is how your flag looks. He took our flag, meaning that we don't took American flag. You know what is happening there? The similarities in the both countries were being seen. That attracts the American president closer to our country. Our relationship with America is being consolidated by this single visit of President Walker. The missing links are being formed. the outstanding issues will be resolved. We will, in the way we should, benefit from our relationship with America. There was one major thing the president said during his brief remarks, that the country needs a geological survey, and he asked the Americans to help. They have what it takes to do that. We don't have it. I'm informed by the delegation in the U.S. that the Americans are open to helping us with that geological survey. You know what that does? When you know you get iron ore, you know you got lime, you know you got gold. You don't know what else you have. You don't. That geological survey will help you to discover the unknown. We will be sitting on billions here. Now we don't know, because we don't have the capacity to do the survey that's required to determine what we have here. You see, President Walker was intentional and strategic. He knows that there is an administration that has an agenda that is focused on what they call America First. At the same time, being a man of wisdom, he was convinced that there were ways he would engage President Trump, that when it comes to Liberia, the America First agenda may remain, but we have room to look at Liberia in a positive way. We don't take what has happened for granted. We, as leaders chosen by the president to work with him, have jobs to do. Part of that is now that we do all the external engagements after this meeting to make sure that we have the fruits of this mission that will put our country back on a pedestal with America. And all of us will look back one day and say, truly, the United States of America is Liberia's most important traditional ally. And that relationship will always survive, irrespective of who sits in the White House. The president himself is in good mood. When he arrives tomorrow, you see it, you feel it, and you will know that you'll be stepping down on Liberian soil like a soldier who has returned from battle victorious. Victorious not for himself, for the motherland, for the people of Liberia. And those of us who are getting vexed because that opportunity was availed to him, put aside the anger a little bit. Put aside the hate. See the good in what is happening from the perspective of the country. Got more to unpack, right? But you see, you talk based on what you are authorized to say. So everything I say, I want that I am authorized to say. There are many things, some very good, that I can't say now because I am not authorized to say so. But eventually, as the days and weeks go on, we'll unpack them. But you see with your own eyes, moving forward, that the relationship is enhanced, is consolidated, and is back on the proper track. Thank you for your attention. I will think that the investment group will make me a presentation, and then you will hear additional comments from Deputy Minister Daniel Sano before we take your questions. Thank you.
Major Pia. Minister Madam Magdalena Cooper, Senior Political Advisor to the President of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Boyka, members of the High Panel, my fellow members of the Fourth Estate, fellow Liberians that hear my voice this morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Nova Africa Ventures, we're pleased to officially inform the public that the 2025 Liberian Investment Conference will take place this July 15th through the 18th at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Monrovia. This national event is being organized in partnership with the Office of the Vice President, who leads this year, and the National Investment Commission, NIC. The theme of this year's conference is Partnering for Prosperity. This conference is not just an event. It is a strategic performance and a strategic platform that is designed to attract private sector investments in key sectorial areas. Leading this year is agriculture. And as you all recall, last year, there was a company that came in called Gatebridge Community that came to purchase natural and organic produce to export to supermarkets in black communities in the U.S. That project, it continues to be on the way, and hopefully, in fact, this year, the President and CEO, who is Dr. Anthony Cook, will be returning to Liberia as they continue to develop that project for Liberia. So key sectorial areas include, as I said, agriculture, energy. Just to describe to you, this year there's a company called Windwise. We're engaging with them to look at renewable energy to help with the airport in order to increase, energy efficiency for the airport, so we have, consistent energy at the airport and processing plants along the nation. Tourism, infrastructure. There's a group that is coming this year called the Leon Group of Companies out of California to join us. Aviation. We're engaging with a key aviation company out of France called JETEX. Mining, technology. There's a company called Ingenico that is coming out of, is a French company, but it's coming out of South Africa to join us to look at our fintech opportunities. In finance, we've invited the central bank this year to unveil some of the policies that are being rolled out for 2025. So this year's conference is going to be an exciting one. As you all know, members of the press, last year we invited all of you to join us. And we partnered with you last year. And we're looking to do the same because you are the voice of the people. We need your partnership and your collaboration so that the people of Liberia will hear these messages that this administration is trying to put out into the community. As you know, the president is out in the United States right now meeting with the United States on a special economic mission to promote Liberia and promote investments for Liberia. I will let Madam Cooper say a little more. I know Minister Pia has said a lot to you about what the President's mission is, but she will also elaborate from the government side. But from the private sector side, we are trying to, these opportunities will create real opportunities for the nation. it will create jobs, it will grow businesses, it will improve the quality of life for Liberians. So let me pause to congratulate His Excellency Joseph Numa Boyka, President of the Republic of Liberia, the government and the people of Liberia, for the overwhelming vote for the one non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. That is a very, very powerful achievement for Liberia, because it puts Liberia once more on the world stage, and it creates an opportunity for Liberia, and it fast-tracks our ability to bring about investment opportunity for Liberia. The economic significance of this achievement is also that it heightens Liberia's visibility on the world stage. And like I said, create opportunities for multinational cooperation and a deepening strategic partnership. As a private sector institution committed to sustainable development of Africa, Nova Africa Ventures sees this as a catalyst for renewed engagement, particularly in areas such as infrastructure, digital innovation, natural resource development, and youth empowerment. Now, you may ask, why is this so important to the ordinary citizens? It is because when we attract investment, we not just bring in foreign companies, we are bringing in capital. We're bringing in new jobs. We're bringing in training opportunities. We're transferring knowledge from those who have mastered certain levels of technology to bring that to you, the Liberian people. We're looking at opportunities to send Liberians abroad to learn more technical know-how so you can come back and help us grow the economy. We're helping farmers, marketers, we're helping entrepreneurs, and of course, we want to develop the youth because you are the future of Liberia. This will also showcase areas where individual rights right here in Liberia can seize investment opportunities. Whether it's building new roads, setting up agro-processing plants, expanding access to electricity, upgrading our ports, our seaports and our airports. Private investment help make these things possible. Years past, we've depended heavily on our development partners, and we've left the private sector to fend for itself. This government gets it. The Boyka administration has asked a small nonprofit, a small organization like NOVA to join with government to bring the private sector along. What we are doing is we're building a community of trust, because for Liberia to succeed, we must show the world that we are trustworthy partners. This is what we're doing. This is what this exercise is about. So when you come to the conference as the media, keep that in mind. Everything we do must be portrayed to the world in a positive way. Because when the world sees us as a positive partner, then the world engages. Investors are excited. They want to now come into the country. They want to invest more because they know that the opportunities are here. You know, people know Liberia is very endowed by God. We're very rich in resource. But our human capital capacity needs to be upgraded in order for us to merge the two. Because if the people have the knowledge and the technical skill, now we can unleash the power that will bring the country forward. So I'm saying to you, the media, we all have a task. Let's stop sending negative messages out there. Let's stop downgrading what the president and the leaders of this nation are doing. We must promote our country. So I set aside message here to let you know, the media, we must do this together. This is a task that is not only for government. This is a task that is not only for the people of Liberia. This is a task for you, the media. This is a task for the private sector as we bring them along to work alongside government. So no one can say they've been left out. This administration is making a clarion call to every Liberian to come alongside all of us so we can work to develop our nation. Now I'll continue. We understand that people want to see real impacts, not just talk. That is why this conference is so focused on results and implementation. It is a whole of government effort to build partnerships that can deliver tangible benefits. We are expecting a diverse group of attendees at the conference, from domestic business leaders like Orange, like AGL Liberia, B Mountain, like Aqualife, Capital Hotel, EPO, all of them are coming alongside NOVA for this conference. We also are bringing in international investors. I talked to you earlier about some of the investors that are coming. Some new investors that are coming into Liberia include Arkansas River Rice Mill Group. As you all know, rice is our staple. Rice is what we need in Liberia. And we have a deficit in the rice that we grow. We grow about 240 million metric tons of rice a year, but we consume 550 million metric tons. So there's a gap. There's about 210 million gap in rice. So we have to fill that gap. We have to be able to grow more. But the way we do that, we have to import more, right? So many times when we go to the supermarket, we see rice, sometimes we see low-grade rice that come from all over the place. We want to import nutrient-dense rice into the country that is very high in nutrition for our people. So when you eat it, it can make you healthier, right? We don't want rice that people bring in just because they know it's Liberia's staple. So they're bringing any kind of rice that is low-grade, that is not healthy to the human body. So we're looking for serious companies around the world, what I call pan-Africanistic minded companies that will come to Liberia to help develop our nation. So the Arkansas River Rice Mill Group have heard that call, and they're coming into Liberia for this conference. There's also the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. There's a whole lot of farmers that we have gathered this year. In fact, currently, as I stand here with you, there's a conference for Liberia in Philadelphia, the United States of America. And NOAA sent a delegation of 10 agricultural groups to that conference. They are participating right now with the Minister of Agriculture. They are engaging with him. He had dinner for them last night. I have pictures of those dinners that we'll share with you at the conference, so that you see that we're working across the world. NOVA is not only working here in Liberia at this conference. All through the year, in December, maybe some of you may have known, may have not known, we were back here bringing in investors for Liberia to engage with government. So we're serious about promoting Liberia. And I'm now asking the media, as we stand here today, I'm using this as a clarion call to you today. Let's engage, let's work together, let's promote Liberia, let's build Liberia. Like the president said, love Liberia. So we are also inviting the domestic partners. This year, UNDP is partnering with us also. They're going to be at the conference. The UNECA, the UN Economic Commission for West Africa, they're out of Ethiopia. They're coming. In fact, our guest speaker for this year is Madame Diop. She's going to be the guest speaker at the conference today, because the UNECA is partnering with Liberia. So there are great things that are happening for our nation, which will all culminate into development for Liberia. And soon you will start seeing the results. So I'm just asking the media to know what is happening and to understand the importance and the significance of what is happening in this country. So again, the heads of government, The Vice President office leads what we're doing this year. All agencies of government is involved. You see now the Ministry of Information. This is their contribution. They're talking to you, and we are now, NOVA is talking to you. And I, as the CEO of NOVA, I'm asking you, because the President has given me this task to organize. As you all know, I'm former Chief of Protocol. What protocol do? We organize the government, we organize the President. I'm organizing my country as a private citizen now to say, let's come together, work together to build our country. So, special guest speakers will be at the conference. You know, you all will have a very nice time. It's a 3-day conference that is going to be very impactful, informative. So we're encouraging you, like last year, like you did. Come along, we'll have spots for you. As you all know, we'll feed you well, we'll take good care of you. All right, so come and let's build Liberia together. This is a moment of pride and opportunity for Liberia to stand on the global stage and show that we are ready. We're ready to partner for prosperity. We invite all Liberians to stay informed and engaged. For more detail about the conference, including the program this next week and how to get involved, please visit www.novaav.co. Again, it's www.novaav.co. Together, let us champion a new era for Liberia. Let us champion this era for investment. Let us champion this era for opportunity. Let us champion this era for growth and development for our beloved nation. With this, I say I thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the media.
Thank you, Ambassador Anderson. Now, before we take the questions from you members of the press, we just want to so a couple of weeks ago, the government announced the relaxation of the enforcement of the National ID card as the nationally accepted credential for doing banking transactions. Following that announcement, the President, His Excellency Joseph Imambuaka, has named National Security Advisor Anthony Samuel Kofi Woods on a steering committee to resuscitate the issuance of the National Biometric Identification Card. Anthony Woods will chair the steering committee, and the committee is clothed with the responsibility to implement the system, to resume the enrollment of citizens and residents, and that is expected to be rolled out on 13 April 2026. The steering committee includes members from various entities of government and organizations such as the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, Liberia Telecommunication Authority, the National Identification Registry, Central Bank of Liberia, National Elections Commission, Senior Economic Advisor to the President, and the Office of the Presidential Delivery Unit. The committee main objective are to develop and execute the biometric ID card system to enhance national security, facilitate access to government services, and promote economic development with a secure and efficient identity verification platform. The system will fully neutralize biometric technology with all-round verification capability. We are closely following activities at the Forestry Development Authority, and as you already know, Liberia withdrawn the rest of the global community to observe what is known as World Chimpanzee Day on the 14th of July. Liberia is home to the biodiversity hotspot in West Africa and is privileged to also be home to the last few strongholds of wild chimpanzees. Deforestation, habitat fragmentation, illegal hunting, and the encroachment of human settlement have put chimpanzee population on the brink of extinction. Liberia's ecotourism potential, rooted in the richness of our forests and wildlife, depends on the survival of species like chimpanzee. Protecting that means protecting our ecotourism feature, our cultural identity, and the ecological services that sustain rural communities. The government of Liberia, through the Forestry Development Authority, FDA, and in collaboration with the Wild Chimpanzee Foundation, the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, including other relevant international local partners, has launched comprehensive efforts to save Liberia's chimpanzee population. These include enhanced enforcement of conservation laws, the designation and management of protected forest areas, community engagement in conservation practices, and nationwide awareness initiative encouraging harmony between people and nature. Just lastly, before we entertain questions, the Ministry of Mines and Energy has been doing a lot to curb illegal mining and to ensure the enforcement of regulations in the mining sector. And one of the problems that we have consistently faced as a country is the anti-smoking, illegal mining, and everything. So the Ministry of Mines and Energy just concluded a rigorous public awareness on the process and procedures that allow for the handling and export of mineral from Liberia by those holding the mining rights. There was a 5-month-long anti-smoking campaign. It was carried out by the Office of Precious Mineral, OPM, and the activity was implemented in several counties, including Buffalo, Lofa, Grand Cape Mount, and Nimba. The awareness was focused on informing mining communities about the National Kimberlite Process Clarification Scheme and gave them an in-depth understanding of responsible mining practices and curbing the illegal trade of Liberia's natural resources. The initiative, who ran from February to June, was implemented by the Ministry of Mines and Energy in partnership and collaboration with the German Development Agency, GIZ. The anti-smuggling campaign was concluded in wastewater and Camp Alpha, Buffalo County, Lofa Bridge. The anti-smoking campaign message were all coordinated with specific focus on educating artisanal miners and stakeholders in local community about the Kimberley process. That being said, the minister is attending to some very important guests from the legislature, so we'll entertain questions. But of course, the minister spoke very